Bonjour, and welcome to another little random, weird, oddbod collection of fanzines, comic book magazines. If you don't know what a fanzine is, I think it says everything it needs to be known on the tin. But also, it's a trip down memory lane. This is probably only going to be for a select few, but just bear in mind that I am a geeky old hog. I know I dropped the D to be cool and hip, but I am a geeky old hog. And I picked up my old mate Paul of my LCS, of one of my bestest LCSs, Comics and Fantasy, Hornchurch, Essex. Hello, Paul. It's been ages since I picked these up. But as soon as I go through them, as soon as I start going through them to start thinking, right, what can I do a video about? Let's take a trip down memory lane. This is going to be very UK centric. It is going to be a lot about American comics, but it's going to be a lot about British comic shops and British comic marts and British comic conventions, and the ones that I grew up with. This is kind of like a side note to the personal journey videos I've been doing, like my kind of autobiographical journey. But I picked up a bundle of these, and it's so much fun looking at the adverts, some of the interviews with the stars that they were getting. Like, these were just magazines put together by fans on a shoestring. So if you can sit back and relax and come with me, imagine an age before the internet. Just think about it for a moment, because I know there is a generation that takes it for granted. I don't, to be fair. I use it, but I don't take it for granted. And it's when you pick up magazines like this that were our only avenue into our hobby that we all loved. But you had to pick this magazine up at the comic shop or wherever, or get it by mail order. And you had to be hardcore collector. Love it, but I love it. Nowadays, you can just research what colour pants Mark Wade's wearing when he writes World's Finest. Easy. Just ask ChatGPT, and there you go. Mark Wade was wearing blue pants with a dolphin motif. Lovely. Didn't need to know that, but I would like a fanzine with an interview with him and his approach to how he writes work, and I'm sure you can find that. We're not going to go there. Let's not go there, because that's the cynical hog. Anyway, if you're up for a bit of that, go and grab your coffee or your beer or your cider or anything with ice if you're in England at the moment, because we are sweltering over here, and sit back and enjoy, I hope, a little trip down memory lane via these properly analogue, black and white, self-published fanzines. And I love them. I love it. It's the enthusiasm that I love. So please join me after the scroll if you fancy some of that. Right, here we go. We're going to start. Sorry if I'm going to grip onto these bookmarks, because if I went through every one of these, if I started leafing through every magazine, we'd be here for hours. So I've bookmarked appropriately interesting points. But look at this. 1977. And in the UK, the name Des Skin, with Marvel UK, with Warrior, and several other House of Hammer Horror, whatever it's called. That name is synonymous with British comics and comicdom and fandom. And he is editor emeritus for this magazine. Editor emeritus, Des Skin, in 1977. We're going back, and let me just draw your attention to this advert here. Look, I hope that's going to come through okay. I will probably post a few of these on Threads. But look at that Brian Bolland advert. Before he was doing the Forbidden Planet ones, I thought this was really interesting in '77. That he's doing adverts for Dark They Were and Golden Eyed, which were only two or three streets away from Forbidden Planet. Where they were in Soho was just literally three streets away. I used to go to both back in the day. Look at how, I know this probably won't come out properly, but look at how literally someone was typing out this fanzine. Look, typing out lists of back issues. I hope that's coming with an old-fashioned typewriter in 1977. And Fantasy Advertiser, it was you go to, his House of Hammer, an advert in the back for back issues. These were the glory days. And also, look, this was the Warrior before. I've got 6 issues of this Warrior, which was just reprints from old British magazines that their skin done. British magazines, British comics. Before the Warrior that we know, with V for Vendetta and Miracle Man, Marvel Man and all the rest of it. But anyway, I just love this stuff. So we're probably still in the late 70s, and I've got more bookmarks here. Look at this review of 2000 AD. They're reviewing the past like 3, 4, 5 issues of 2000 AD. What I found interesting about this bit was the fact that they're talking about one of these comics had a free pack of, the company was called Panini, of Panini stickers. And part of the downturn of British comics was the launch of sticker albums in the UK. And it was predominantly a boys' market we're talking about now. They went over to the football stickers and the whatever stickers it was, they just went over to that. They left comics, that certain amount of money that was getting. Anyway, look, those old 2000 AD scare covers, look, love it. And look, in 1982, Comics Showcase. That was such an iconic advert for me growing up and getting into comics. Such an iconic advert. And they're moving to Monmouth Street, and that's where I knew them, and that's where I went. That was added to my round. It was Forbidden Planet in Denmark Street, it was Dark They Were and Golden Eyed in St Anne's Court. Not for long, to be fair, by the time I started going into London, which would have been early 80s, and then Comic Showcase. Ugh. I don't know, for Northerners, Stoke-on-Trent, who remembers Fantasy well. But this is what I mean about the journey back in time. I don't know if there was anything of any note in this one. Like I say, it's the advert. I mean, Bernie Wrightson has done an ad. Bearing in mind these are fanzines. Bernie Wrightson has done a piece of artwork. Now, if you had that shop, Nostalgia and Comics in Birmingham, I would, if it was my shop, I would still own that artwork. Believe me, I would still own that artwork. We have got the launch of American Flag. Look, we've got Star Slayer, Warp being reviewed. Oh, just love it. And again, just look at what someone had to do. Look at the typing. This was pre-word processor. Just think about it. Someone sat on the typewriter, columns and columns and columns. Just brilliant. Another issue here like I say, we're still, and look, this brought back memories as well. If you were into role-playing games like I was, Dungeons and Dragons, Gamma World, RuneQuest, Traveller, Citadel miniatures, before Games Workshop were a thing, pre-Games Workshop, like the Formation. Just love this stuff. And on the back, comic book marketplace. Used to go to these. Maybe not this early. Who was in this issue? Look, Alan Moore. Alan Moore talks about V in this issue. How they had access in these early days to like the big superstars. But you know, anyway. What's that? Gary Leach. The Walt Smiths from Warrior. So Warrior was obviously like getting going, or you know, underway by then. And look, there's Skin's shop in South London. This half price sale, I used to love this, going to this half price sale in South London. It wasn't just putting all the toot out at half price. I used to literally fill my boots at these half price sales. They were so good. And this was Des Skin's shop, and I do believe, now correct me if I'm wrong in the comments please, but I think when he started Comics International, he was doing that at this address. He was doing it, it was all here, so he had his shop, he started doing, and Comics International did start along the lines of a fanzine like this. I mean, Fantasy Advertiser was the one. You know, this was the one. And you can tell by, look, just being cobbled together. Yeah, so he's doing Comics International. Now, Ace. Look, I never knew that Ace Comics, which is still going in the UK, by the way, was American Comic Enterprise. I never knew. I just thought it was Ace Comics. I never knew they used that. And they were the ones that bought out one of my shops when I went pop, when I had shops back in the day. They were the ones that bought me out, and so they're starting up. What we're talking about now, late 70s. I think we're talking about, yeah, we're talking early 80s here. We're talking about 83, 84. The comic book marketplaces are still going now. I don't know if it's still under the same tutelage. I remember going to the Camden Centre in Bidborough Street. I remember that. And I think that's where I was actually made famous on YouTube. There is a clip of me in a documentary that Channel 4 did where I'm queuing up for a comic mart, and I'm pretty sure it was that one. Or not that one, not that specific one, but that location where I'm being interviewed when I am knee-high to a grasshopper. Right, another Fantasy Advertiser. What I loved about this one was an exclusive interview with Kevin O'Neill, and how he, do you remember how he was reformatting? How he was reformatting the what was it? Not was it Eagle Comics, the Eagle Comics American editions. You know, the reprints of the 2000 AD stuff. And he's going through here. Look, and look at those two panels. Look how they reformatted it. He done a little bit of jiggery pokery. Lovely 2-page. All of these had lovely. This is the beginning. This one here, Southend-on-Sea, is just down the road from me. I never went to this shop, by the way. I always went into London. In a way, it was easier. From where I lived, it was easier to get on the London Underground and go into London when I lived at my mum and dad's than it was to go out. You'd have to get a bus, train, instead of just getting on London Underground and just and having it. But this was going to be my first comic shop that I would buy when they were selling up in 95, 96, something like that, 97. And I just love, I don't know, I just love things like that. Maybe I'm a bit too sentimental. Another one there, I don't know if I've bookmarked anything in here. Oh look, I've been banging on about this on threads. Shatter. Look, February the 28th, 1985, the first computer-generated comic. Oh, it's great, isn't it? Collectors, yeah, love it. Here we go. Advert for the UK Comic Art Convention 1985. Look at the roster. We were spoiled. 100% we were spoiled. Look at that roster. No wonder I've got so much stuff randomly signed. I mean, every now and again I'll go through my collection and there'll be a random signature on the inside of a comic where I've just taken it to someone at a convention. I mean, Steve Bissett, George Perez. I mean, I didn't get his. I never got his. I mean, it does make me wonder where I was sometimes. You know, you got. I mean, all the English ones, fair enough. I think I've got a good cross section of all of those, and it would have been 2000 AD and Warrior, where they come from. But Perez, Wolfman, Bissett, Sinkovich. Yeah, but I would have been there. But where was I? The one thing I will say is that I've never liked queuing up, not even to this day. Not even to this day, I hate it. I hate it. Anyway, Alan Moore. He does a 2-part in Fantasy Advertiser, and we are talking 85 now. So he's done some stuff. Yeah, 85. So he's done some stuff, and now he's giving us Alan Moore Writing for Comics Part 1 in a fanzine for 50p. Oh, I love it. Here's Part 2 of Alan Moore in there. I mean, obviously, you know, these are just fan orientated. It's fan orientated stuff, so you know, none of it looks pretty. Here we go, next year's convention. Look at this, the same UCAT. I've still got all the programs and everything. Who we got here? We got Frank Miller this year. I remember this one. I have got a couple of my Daredevils signed by him. I wasn't too bothered about the Batman stuff, to be fair. Oh, look, here's some reviews on the early reprints from Titan, Halo Jones, Slain, Charlie's War. And where was it? One of these said, oh, look, price for both days, £7.50. And accommodation, £12 for the night. Now, I never did the accommodation, to be fair, because do you know what I did? I went to the all-night film show that they did. So the convention stopped on the Saturday, all-night film show. I went out, got some grub, come back. I had a little bit with me, you know, some drinks and blah, blah. But I basically just slept through the least, well, you would just fall asleep anyway. You would just fall asleep. And wake up, like, get freshened up in the toilets at the convention centre the next morning, and away you go again. So I was, I was that sweaty, spotty comic book nerd in his sweaty t-shirt on the Sunday. I thought this was interesting. I never knew. I missed this completely. Look at this in England, this signing. Look, this X-Men signing. Chris Claremont, Arthur Adams and John Bolton. I missed that one. Yeah, I missed that one. Mid-80s, and it was mid-80s where I was, you know, growing. You know, if you've watched my What's It videos, you know that this is peak, and we've still got all the typesetting going on. But look what advert we've got now. Gosh, is opening in London. I think by now Dark They Were and Golden Eyed has gone. So we've still got 3 comic shops in central London. Gosh, FP, and Comic Showcase. So I love it. Absolutely love it. I'm just going to show this one, the cover. Brendan McCarthy. There's an interview with him in there. Don't spill your beans. A little story after when I started doing film scripting and a few bits about 10 years ago. I started inquiring with Des Skin and several other people about what comic properties there were, but the rights hadn't been bought. And one that in my travels, in my research, that popped up was Paradax. Not that that was anything to do with Warrior, but I was approaching Des Skin as well, and blah blah. And we did go a little way, not very far. I don't think he kind of was saying, well, yeah, give me the synopsis before I say yes, and do this before I say yes. And I kind of went a couple of steps, but nothing. But very nice, very gracious. Very gracious person to deal with, and that was after Fury Road, so that'll probably give you the year that I was annoying him. Titan, look, another bit of Bolland artwork that I'd forgotten that he did. Look, for Titan Distributors, look, AKA Forbidden Planet. Get it as they're kind of getting a bit professional and serious. I love this advert. I have posted this on Threads. The prices of Timely and Marvel Golden Age that this guy, this handwritten advert, he's got Captain America #1 in very good condition, 750 quid. He's got #3, 75 quid, etc, etc. I won't go on. You'll have to go on geekyOlhog's thread to find out more. About that. I just found that absolutely, like, if you could go back in time and just snap them up. Here we go. UCAC 88, John Byrne, Mike Mignola. Like I say, I attended these every year for probably 5 or 6 years, for as long as they were doing them. I loved them. Oh, look at that, now confirmed. Mobius. I've got to admit, I don't remember that. So I don't know if he turned up or whether or not I couldn't get into the halls where he was doing something. Yeah, because I would remember that. Oh, look, Steve Gerber interview. Look, the man who gave us the duck. Love it. But how these fanzines or fanzines got hold of all these creators? I don't know. And look at the another tour. Look, Anne Nocenti and John Bolton. I remember that Someplace Strange. One of them early Marvel graphic novels. This is what I mean about that trip down memory lane. Oh, look at the back of this. When Marvel UK was having a go. Late 80s now, 1989. And look what's being published, the official comic book. This wasn't the first year it was published, but the first UK guide. So that was great. Now, Fantasy Advertiser was just as much of the scene as BEN. I've never even heard of Masters of Infinity, but it was incorporating Masters of Infinity at this point. And again, look, Comic Showcase, the beginning of their advertising, of Bolland. All these shops were obviously getting, all these comic artists were obviously coming in at a reasonable price because they was all using like proper artists. Oh look, it's not nice Robo Hunter review in that. They was all using comic artists, weren't they? Nice bit of Luther Arkwright there. And like I say, Ben was a stalwart. Look at that, I like this. Look, the Masters of Infinity is doubled in the size with no price increase. #2 has got 16 A4 pages. Look, Brian Bolland, Comic Con. Look at what they've got going on in there. you can see that. I love it. Just the fan enthusiasm. I love it. Look at the size of this print. Look. My old hog eyes can just about focus on it. I mean, it's ridiculous, really. You would never do font. You would never do font like this now. You would never do. Look at that, words. But these were fanzines. And the fans that were publishing these wanted to get their words out. I mean, nowadays we've got your YouTubes and all the rest of it. Oh, look at the comic marks on the back. Look. Another Bolland advert. That's the classic. That's the classic. They're getting into mail order. That's your comic marks. There was no doubt I would have attended these. No doubt. DC science fiction comics. I don't think there's anything too much of note in there. In that one. But just gives you a flavour of what these guys were doing. I remember Dangerous Visions, Malden in Essex. They was only down the road from me, but I used to get stuff from them. Oh, I love this. Love this. Big interview with Mick McMahon. Big interview. Some nice little snippets of artwork. There's some 2000 AD reviews in there. Oh. Look, some nice Mick artwork. Never seen that before, to be fair. I've never seen that piece of McMahon artwork. Other than that, it's just, yeah, it was all just tiny little squares. So perhaps he's done that. And then on to Arkansas, which features, and you won't be able to like properly see it because the print quality on this, the reproduction on this was atrocious. But look at this beauty. I've never seen this before. Great. It's called Grain, and it's Ian Gibson artwork. I mean, I'll try and get in as much as I can and keep it in focus, but it's interspersed with beautiful Ian Gibson. You know, say no more. Say no more. We've got John Higgins interview in this, the colourist on Watchmen, but he's an artist in and of himself. And Charles Vess. I'm sure there was more. Oh, there is more at the show. So, Dave McKean, Judge Dredd, that I'd never seen before. So the year this come out, it's literally showcasing sketches from Dave McKean doing Dredd, and then we've got some nice John Higgins. Oh, there's more. Now, I know this probably isn't coming out the best, guys, but you know, just to give you a flavour of, and I know it's very, very British, even to the fact that it's got a Barry Windsor Smith interview. With the iconic X-Men cover, but it's all about Barry Windsor Smith, and we are talking 80. We must be talking late 80s. These they just didn't care about the dates and advertising when they are. Oh, look at that, an advert for the Virgin. I know this is, and I do apologise to my fans elsewhere, but I know this is very UK centric, but who remembers when Virgin was doing comic shops? Wow, it's just such a blast down memory lane. Now, a few months ago, I'd already picked up, this is another fanzine called Speakeasy, but I've already bagged these up and I've made my little notes of, you know, Steve McManus from Crisis and John Byrne, Ted McKeever are being interviewed in here. But Speakeasy was another one. Look, Death's Head. And look at all, by this time, look, early 90s, look at all of the Forbidden Planets, or late 80s, should I say. Look at all the Forbidden Planets. They were in the front to buy my 6 shops when I was ready to fold. But no, it didn't come to pass. Dave Stevens, Mobius Silver Surfer, look, love it. Love it. Cam Kennedy in that epic series he did. Forget the name of that now. Light and Darkness War. It was on the cover. But Dragon's Teeth. Look, who remembers that? Good old Marvel. Good old Marvel UK. Got a V for Vendetta. Nice V for Vendetta. Obviously Alan Moore in there. Look at this, in 1993, Batman Shocker. This comic speculator, and yes, in 93, weren't we? Oh yes, we were. But I just thought this was interesting because on the cover it's got Batman issue 500 and Detective Comics 667, which should make them the fastest selling books since the Doomsday epic. DC have already revealed that the new villain Bane, and look at this on the reverse, Monsieur Liam Sharp, look, in his burgeoning, in his beginning years. I'm sure there's a song there. Right, and we're going to round this off in 1999. We're going to keep it British, because do you know what? I've got some comics interviews here. But do you know what? I think I've already gone over time, really waffling about fanzines. So I'll probably do them for another day. But this tripwire, obviously focusing in 1999 on Preacher. And these are ones, these speakeasies and these tripwires I bought from Paul a while ago. And thank you again, mate, for always looking out for him. Like, he knows I love all this stuff, and it's not £1,000,000, but I enjoy it. That's why it's taken me so long. I literally bought these months ago. But in this one, 1999, this is the way we end the video, with an advert for my shop. That was me and what I was doing. That was Into the Void. That's what I was called. Now, at this point, so in 1999, I'm advertising the fact I'm opening my second shop. I had 6 in the end. But yeah, 1999, opening up my second shop. Actually, third. But anyway, in black and white. This was glorious in colour, by the way. The guy I had, a friend of mine, who was doing all this design work for me, and it matched the logo, matched what I had over the shop doorways. Oh, I was going for it. Anyway, that is getting really self-indulgent now. But I hope you enjoyed that trip down memory lane. So I do apologise, it's a bit UK-centric, but it's still comics. It's still comics, but I think you British fans of a certain vintage, not with bad eyes, will get a bit of a kick out of that. I hope you do. And I hope you did enjoy that. Thank you if you're a sexy subscriber. If you're not, why not? That's the face I pull. Who would want to disappoint an old man? So go and subscribe. Anyway, until next time, I'll bid you all adios.